As the end of the year approaches, the Christmas atmosphere begins to fill the air, and the cold weather makes people shiver and put on their winter coats. For children, they are always eagerly awaiting Christmas Day to receive gifts from Santa Claus. So, who is Santa Claus? Let's find out more about this character. Santa Claus is an iconic figure of Christmas. On Christmas Eve, he drives his sleigh pulled by reindeer to deliver gifts to well-behaved children. He follows the chimney of the house to get inside and then leaves the gifts in the stockings hanging on the fireplace. After that, he leaves, leaving happiness for the children on the next morning. We all listen to songs and watch movies about Santa Claus. But you may not know the true story behind the legend of the man who can fly around the world in one night. Perhaps, the story of Santa Claus is a fascinating topic that many people, especially children, are interested in. Some people think that Santa Claus is just a fictional character created to explain the custom of giving gifts to children on Christmas Day. It is not entirely fictional, because Santa Claus is actually taken from 99% of the original prototype of a real saint. The real story of Santa Claus originated from Saint Nicholas, who was born around 280 AD in the town of Myra, part of Greece, now a coastal town in southwestern Turkey. For more than 1,000 years, Saint Nicholas has been known for his generosity in leaving gifts for boys and girls because of his good heart. And he has brought spiritual holidays around the world for many centuries. Saint Nicholas has been known by many different names over the years, such as Saint Nicholas, Kris Kringle, Father Christmas, Père Noel, and Santa. While all the variations of the story have changed over the years, all refer to the same man. His parents were wealthy but childless and prayed to God every day for a child of their own. The miracle happened when they finally gave birth to a baby boy. Unfortunately, Nicholas's parents died of a widespread epidemic in the city of Myra, leaving him an orphan. He was then raised by his uncle, who was the bishop of Myra, and thanks to his upbringing, Nicholas became a proud boy, especially when he grew up to be a very good boy. Nicholas's uncle saw the hidden heart inside his nephew and believed that his nephew would grow up to bring joy to many people. When Nicholas grew up, his uncle's prophecy became true. Nicholas was always kind to others and helped everyone as much as he could. As an orphan, Nicholas had a special place in his heart for children in the town and often helped them make handmade toys to play with. Despite coming from a wealthy family, he always sympathized with those who were less fortunate and did anything he could to help them. A typical story recorded in texts is as follows. A poor family had 3 beautiful daughters, but the father was too poor to pay the dowry. So his daughters could not get married and were even sold into slavery. Nicholas wanted to help the family, but he did not want to hurt the father's pride by directly offering assistance. So Nicholas threw a bag of gold down the chimney, which fell into their stockings hanging up to dry. The father and his daughters jumped for joy, believing that God had finally answered their prayers. And the oldest daughter was able to get married. Nicholas returned to do this once again for 2 daughters. And that's when he was discovered by the townspeople performing that humane act. Nicholas's kind and generous heart was talked about throughout the town. Nicholas was a simple man. He did not need much money to be happy, and money did not mean much to him. However, for others, material possessions held great significance. Nicholas knew that his material contributions could change the lives of other families in Myra. So he used the inheritance from his parents to help poor families suffering from illness or misfortune. After this story spread throughout the town, everyone began leaving stockings and shoes by the fireplace, with the hope that they too would receive gold from Nicholas. Soon, people throughout the city of Myra began receiving anonymous gifts mysteriously appearing in their homes, sparking a spirit of charity, and neighbors were willing to help those in need. People in the town began to rumor that this man seemed to be able to move to many places in a blink of an eye. They believed that Nicholas had been blessed with magical powers. But it is certain that Nicholas was a real person, because he grew up and became the bishop of his church. He was considered a saintly person to the point where he was later canonized as Saint Nicholas, the patron saint of children. And surprisingly, he was also the patron saint of sailors. Yes, Saint Nick loved to travel. He even learned how to sail along the coast of Asia Minor and dreamed of one day traveling the world. Legend has it that one day Turkish sailors set sail in rough waters. Afraid that their boat would capsize, they prayed to Saint Nicholas for help. And a figure appeared before them with outstretched arms, with the ability to control the weather and calm the sea. He safely brought the sailors back home. This is just one of many stories about the extraordinary magical powers of Saint Nick. And it may be the most satisfying explanation for how Santa Claus rides his sleigh despite the weather. The miraculous stories of Saint Nicholas have lasted much longer than just one lifetime. The magic behind his generosity is so touching and powerful that it is enough to keep the name of Saint Nicholas in the hearts of humanity for a long time. Nicholas became one of the most famous Catholic saints. People continued to pray to him, hoping for his help during difficult times. Over time, Saint Nick enjoyed receiving letters more than prayers. Perhaps that was also a way for him to fulfill people's wishes. Stories of magic and generosity of Saint Nick began to spread throughout the world. In the Netherlands, Belgium, and Switzerland, children began leaving shoes outside on Saint Nicholas's Day so that he could give them gifts. After the Reformation, Martin Luther wanted to eliminate the stories of Catholic saints. So he said that these gifts are really from Jesus Christ. Of course, people were confused because they knew that the real gift giver was the jolly Saint Nick. After the Revolutionary War, there was a movement to reject many British ways of life and start new traditions that were uniquely American. An author named Washington Irving wrote and published American folklore stories such as Rip Van Winkle and The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. He decided to officially give Saint Nick an American-sounding name, Santa Claus, and Saint Nick officially became a part of American Christmas tradition. Over the years, more and more writers have added details to Santa Claus, instead of thinking about his life in Turkey as a saint. People now think of a jolly, plump old man climbing down the chimney to put presents in stockings and packages under the Christmas tree. In 1822, Clement Clarke Moore, a prominent Episcopal minister, wrote a Christmas poem titled, "'Twas the Night Before Christmas," for his 3 daughters, which recounted the visit of Saint Nicholas. Moore's poem seems to depict the familiar image of Santa Claus that we know today, as a jolly dwarf with a plump figure and the supernatural ability to climb up chimneys in the blink of an eye. Although some of the imagery in Moore's poem may have been borrowed from other sources, his poem helped popularize the familiar image of Santa Claus flying from house to house on a small sleigh pulled by 8 reindeer to deliver gifts to good children on Christmas Eve. The poem immediately had a positive effect, and many Americans at the time memorized it. Thus, the image of Santa Claus with his legendary laughter riding a reindeer-drawn sleigh to deliver gifts to children around the world became an indispensable symbol of Christmas. Especially, he is also inspired by a real saint, who is willing to give love to help those in need.